The Real Screeners are back, giving you guys real takes on movies, and this time around we're looking at American Animals and letting you know if a movie about 4 young adults trying to steal a rare book is worth your hard-earned money.
American Animals is directed by up-and-comer Bart Layton, and some people are calling this film a docu-heist film, and that is pretty accurate. This is an expertly crafted heist film, and it stars Barry Keoghan, Ann Dowd, and Evan Peters, just to name a few. Of course, Evan Peters is probably the most famous actor here, who is known for his role in American Horror Story and Quicksilver
in the X-Men movies. You Marvel fanboys will definitely recognize him from that.
That's right.
Like I said earlier, this is a movie about 4 young adults who are trying to steal a book because they're having what I consider a young adult crisis, and they're craving a change in their life. 4
bored young adults.
Yep.
Going to college, going through the motions, trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives, right?
Oh, I'm so bored. I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do.
I need a change. Let's go steal a book.
They need a thrill of some sort. They want to make themselves more unique and special, and they want to do something, I guess, significant with their lives, and that translates into pulling a heist, I guess. I guess they consider it a challenge. They like the thrill of it. It's different for the different, characters in the movie.
Right, and it goes into really the dynamics of how these boys, the lengths they go to try to plot this, and just how they deal with the conflicts among them that arise, and and just the logistics of trying to pull this off.
Yeah, I think that what this movie gets really well is the lengths that people will go to when they are wanting a change, and how they really don't consider or have any foresight about how it may affect others, and I guess that's part of one of the themes in the movie, because these boys are so young that they don't really understand the repercussions of what they're doing, and so the movie really plays into that about, the foolishness of being young,
Absolutely, and this movie takes you through every single step of that process. You really get knee deep.
Very well crafted from beginning to end. For me, I was always captivated watching the movie. I think that as the movie went along, it picked up, it got a little bit better, but for me, the whole entire time, I was captivated watching it.
Me, on the other hand, I was extremely bored in the first act. I was like, okay, here we go. Another boring documentary, man. I was like, oh gosh. But it did pick up after that, and so it drew me in.
Okay, well, I mean, I think that one of the great things about the first part of this movie, or at least what it attempts to establish, it's kind of like a unique style, in my opinion, which is that the director decided to take the real people, because of course this movie is based on a true story. So he decided to include the real people that actually committed this heist, and kind of interpose, scenes where they were being interviewed with the actors who were portraying them in the movie.
Right, like there was a gas station scene where you have the real Warren Lipka with the actor portraying him, Evan Peters, in the same car. And it really just kind of shows you how these kids had conflicting accounts, and how just memories, they're just not always what you expect them to be.
Which brings me to another one of the greatest attributes of this movie, is the way in which it plays on different perspectives and points of view, because...
And they explore that too.
Yeah, he really takes the time to explore how, these people had different recollections of the events that transpired, and it basically, shows you how we have different memories of the same event, and I think that was done very well. And so including the testimonies from the real people who actually pulled off this heist, I thought was great, because it actually gave you some more insight into what these characters were feeling, and the fears that they had planning this heist, and that was very realistic and very well done, I thought.
It's good directing. It was really interesting how the movie starts off by making you think that the movie's really centered on a character named Spencer, who's played by Barry Keoghan. But in reality, it's really just a look at all 4 characters, and to me, the one who really stood out was the character played by Evan Peters, named Warren Lipka. Now, that character starts off as kind of like your minor role character who's there to maybe present a foil for the protagonist, but really, Evan Peters, to me, stole this movie in his portrayal of a weird guy who was just supremely bored with life and obsessive of doing something over the top and trying to draw everyone into that plan.
Out of the four characters that are planning this heist, he is the more gutsy and the most kind of like crazy and impulsive out of all of the and he's the one that eggs all the others on.
Yeah, kind of like their evil ringleader.
To take the risk, which definitely serves as a foil character to Spencer, who definitely has more of a conscience, and is struggling more with this plan that they're debating to go through with. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Anne Dowd, who was recently seen in Hereditary, also one of my favorite movies this year, and she's also in The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. But here she plays a librarian who is kind of like the person in charge of keeping an eye out on this very, expensive book that these four characters are planning on stealing, Yeah, and she does a great job in this movie.
Anne Dowd's performance is spot on, guys. When you finally see the interview with the librarian, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Definitely what makes this movie stand out more than anything is its techniques.
Yep.
Let's start with the editing. Editing is so smooth. The transitions are so thoughtful. There's one that kind of comes to mind where, they're kind of going from a memory to something that's currently happening, and it kind of goes to black and white and then back into color, but it's so seamless that you don't even notice it, and that's what I love about this movie the most.
Yeah, it has fantastic cinematography, guys. Anywhere from the panning shots to the engaging close-ups. For example, there were scenes where they showed guys fiddling with their phone. They showed a guy tapping on the steering wheel, gripping it, to really draw in that suspense. Just the right amount of camera shake, and as far as sound goes, I liked the fact that he really keyed in on certain sounds to really build up that anxiety. For example, there's a scene where a guy was slowly, sharpening his pencil.
Yeah,
it was just real squeaky and eerie.
Well, and that particular shot takes place during a scene that is filled with anxiety.
Absolutely,
it's very impressive filmmaking all around, and not to mention great use of a musical score. So many variances with the music. A lot of string instruments
to add suspense.
The director obviously wanted to make birds a symbol in this movie.
Yeah, it was pretty glaring.
Yeah, yes, because for one thing, the book that these guys are planning on stealing is an Audubon book, and there are a couple of scenes where birds are present, and I don't want to give things away because a few of them are a surprise, but I thought it was interesting, and I like that kind of stuff in movies, stuff that you can kind of like analyze and pull apart, and
peel the layers,
in this case, like, the bird was definitely a representation, I think, of how they can both represent a victim but also a predator. It kind of brings out, kind of connects back to the title American Animals. It kind of brings out how these characters turned into animals and kind of let their instincts take over their abilities to reason.
Yeah. So now's the time we go ahead and introduce you to our new rating system. So instead of grades, it'll be reels. For this movie, I kind of felt like it dragged at some points. I didn't care for one or two of the characters, but overall, it was, like you said, a well-crafted movie talking about real conflicts, and I highly enjoyed the acting. So for this one, I will give it 4 reels out of 5.
4 reels out of 5, huh? Okay, well, I guess that these last 2 films that we've reviewed, I've liked a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to give this movie 4.5 reels out of 5. Again, we kind of decided, I guess, that we're going to leave the 5 reels for like what we consider an instant classic,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I was stunned at the end of this movie. It really captivated me from beginning to end. I was very intrigued by the characters. I thought that the movie did a really good job of presenting them in in the most real way possible. Like the movie really understood what it feels like to, you know, go through with something so risky, you know? And it showed you how these characters were affected by the situation, how they reacted to it, what motivated them to do something so, you know, a crime basically. So I thought that that was really well done, really well executed technique-wise. So 4.5 reels for me.
I agree with you on those points. I just wasn't as entertained, I suppose.
Well, too bad.
That'll do it for us, guys. And as always, if you want to see more of our reactions to movies and trailers, follow us on Stardust. I am LJ5625.
And I am betocukoo.
And guys, we would love to have a conversation with you guys in the comments. So let us know if you think that this movie might be worthy of some Oscar buzz.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, it's getting some rave reviews. There's a lot of talk about this movie. So we really would like to know what you think. If you like our videos, subscribe and hit that bell button so that you can get those notifications. And thank you for joining the Real Screeners, where you get real takes on movies.
All right, till next time.